Let's bring in Li Yong for more on this. He's a senior fellow at the China Association of International Trade, who is joining us from Beijing. Mr. Li, RCEP or RCEP, whatever you'd like to call it, has been described as the anti-TPP trade deal. Is that an accurate description, sir?
No, I don't think so. Since the very start of the two trade deals, I think nobody really saw the two as kind of a rivalry trade agreement. Basically, each of the agreement, sees the other as a kind of a complement, and everybody realizes the difference. For example, TPP had higher standard, while RCEP relatively flexible in terms of the standard, because the basic consideration is that we need to bring those countries together first and then move towards a higher standard based on the specific situations of each of the individual negotiating countries. As you would understand, if you look at the composition of the negotiating members, they include quite developed economies like Japan, Korea, Singapore, and we have the least developed countries such as Laos, Cambodia, and so on.
Why is this the most...
So,
go ahead.
Yep. So eventually, the two agreements see each other joining forces, for example, to establish themselves and then merge together. And then on top of the two, there will be the FTA-AP.
So explain to us why RCEP is the most appealing option for countries wanting to secure regional stability.
This is a very good question, as a matter of fact. When you look at TPP, the higher standards was there in the beginning, and for RCEP, the member countries are trying to understand the situation, whether this, for example, what kind of trade measures can really bring the maximum benefit, and what kind of a possible impact it could have on some of the weaker countries. So what the idea is to create a trade agreement without bringing negative or trying to minimize the negative impact. And that is very important in terms of stabilizing economically the region. And as you know, ASEAN, is trying to establish its economic integration, and that is going to actually that was announced last year, and this process is going to proceed, and this trade agreement, I think it is going to be a facilitator for the regional integration that ASEAN is aiming at.
Clearly, this is not a done deal. A number of challenges that our reporter also mentioned, like how to combine different interests. How long will it take for RCEP or RCEP to be finalized?
Yes, you are correct, because given the fact that the member countries are so different economically, politically, and having different regional agenda, it is indeed difficult to bring them together to really to get the differences, to get them agree on the differences. So that is, I think, still kind of a challenge for the member countries. But at the same time, with the realization that the world economy is still deep in recession, and there need to be a kind of a fresh element to be brought into the regional economy, and trade investment could be the new drivers. And with that, I think being recognized, I think all the countries will probably make some sort of compromises and try to manage to achieve a kind of agreement that may get the trade agreement going, and then later on they can further discuss the higher standards. And actually, that is the spirit of RCEP.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Li Yong, thank you so much, sir.